Welcome to Zera's English story. Ever wondered what it's like to glide through life on a silver platter, only to have the rug pulled out from under you? Today's tale follows a young man named Kale, whose world of effortless luxury crumbles, forcing him to face the gritty truth of life's demands. Stay with us to the end to see how his journey unfolds, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more gripping stories. Back in my youth, life was a shimmering dream. I'm Kale, and in those days, I thought the world spun for my pleasure. My father ran a booming enterprise, his wealth a soft cushion beneath my every step. Money never a concern. Why would it be? Anything I desired, a gleaming watch, the latest tech, a sleek jacket, was mine with a casual word to my father. Studies? I skimmed through them, uninterested. Work? That was someone else's burden. My friends nagged me about planning for the future, but I'd laugh, tossing their advice aside. Why bother when my father's riches flowed like a river? Mornings found me lounging in bed past noon, breakfast brought to me on a tray. I'd lose hours to screens, gaming or scrolling, or I'd hit the city with my crew. We feasted at upscale restaurants, decked out in designer threads, racing through neon-lit streets in cars that purred with power. Life was a dazzling, endless party, and I was certain it would never fade. The effort behind my father's fortune? I never gave it a thought. Tomorrow was a stranger I had no interest in meeting. One crisp evening, as the city hummed with light, my father called me to his study. His face was carved with a seriousness I rarely saw, and a faint unease stirred in my gut. "Sit, Keel," he said, his voice steady but heavy. I flashed a grin, expecting a quick chat, but his eyes held no trace of humor. "We need to discuss your future," he started. I chuckled, leaning back. "Future? Father, I've got everything I need." His gaze didn't waver. "You have it because I work for it," he said. Life isn't always this gentle. Things can change. His words puzzled me. Change? Why would my perfect world shift? I thought he was caught in a rare moment of worry. "Don't stress, Father," I said, still smirking. "It'll always be fine." He studied me, silent for what felt like ages, then murmured, "Time will tell." I brushed off his cryptic tone, slipped out, and dove back into my whirlwind of fun. His words were already a distant echo. The next morning I woke late, my phone alive with texts from friends planning our next outing. I dressed in my sharpest outfit, doused myself in cologne, and bounded downstairs, ready to seize another carefree day. But my father stood in the living room, his expression as grave as the night before. "Sit," he ordered. I sighed, mentioning my plans, but he waved them away. "You're no longer a boy, Kale. It's time you understood what life requires." I rolled my eyes. "I know life," I said, picturing my endless adventures. "No, you don't," he shot back. Then he said something that stopped me cold. "Come with me." Grumbling but curious, I trailed him to his car. He drove without a word, the city sliding past. That morning I saw things I'd always ignored. Vendors arranging their stalls, cleaners scrubbing sidewalks, faces worn by early hours. These were shadows I'd never noticed in my bright, easy world. We pulled up in a weathered part of town where the streets felt heavy and the buildings leaned with age. My father pointed to a man stacking fruit on a cart. "Look at him," he said. "He's up before the sun, works till night, never grumbling. His labor keeps his family fed." I stared, wordless. Then he nodded toward a cramped shop where an old woman sat, stitching fabric with care. "She's worked like that for 50 years, he said. "Barely enough to live, yet she persists." I watched her, her hands steady despite her tired frame. These people were ghosts to me before, their struggles a world apart. My father turned to me. "Do you see it now? Life isn't kind to everyone. They grind every day while you, my son, have never known effort." His words landed like a quiet blow, piercing my armor. A strange heat crept up my neck, shame, unfamiliar and sharp. We drove back in silence. Their faces burned into my thoughts. Soon we arrived at a sleek skyscraper, my father's company headquarters. I dropped by before, but only to grab cash for my whims. Today he led me inside with purpose. The office thrummed with life. Phones rang, keyboards clacked, workers moved with urgency. In his office he sat and fixed me with a piercing look. "Do you know what I do here?" he asked. I shrugged. "You work." He nodded. "Yes, but do you understand the weight of it? I rise at dawn, make decisions that could break or build this company, tackle problems that never end, all for you." I glanced around, seeing the strain etched into every worker's face. I'd never thought about the machinery behind my father's wealth, only the treasures it bought me. Guilt twisted in my chest. Then he pushed a small notebook across his desk. "Tomorrow you start here," he said. I laughed, half in disbelief. "Me? Work?" "Yes," he said, his tone unyielding. "You'll begin at the bottom. Learn." I protested. "I don't need to work." But he was firm. "One day I won't be here." "Then what?" His words hit like a thunderclap. A future without him? I'd never considered it. Stunned, I realized my golden days were numbered. The next morning, I woke at dawn, my body rebelling against the hour. I dressed in plain clothes, feeling like a stranger in my own skin. Downstairs, my father handed me a simple lunch bag. "Lunch?" I asked, thinking of gourmet meals. "Workers bring their own," he said. "Today you're a worker." At the office, he didn't lead me to his plush suite, but to a crowded room packed with desks. A stern man, Mr. Harris, approached. "You'll report to him," my father said, then left. Mr. Harris dropped a towering stack of papers before me. "Review these, spot errors, mark them." I blinked at the pile. "All of them?" "Yes," he said, "and move quickly." I sat, the task looming like a mountain. Numbers swam before my eyes, my head pounding within an hour. This was a far cry from my old life of leisure. By lunch, I was exhausted. I opened my bag to find plain food, no frills, no flair. Around me, workers ate hurriedly, then returned to their tasks. No chatter, no lingering, just work. I ached for my old freedom, but a quiet respect grew for these people who faced this grind daily. The afternoon was grueling. My back throbbed, my fingers cramped from scribbling. Mr. Harris checked my work, pointing out mistakes. "Do it again," he said. I bit back frustration and started over. When the day ended, I was drained, yet a strange pride flickered within me. I had tasted the weight of effort. My father waited outside, saying nothing, just nodding. I nodded back, a silent bond forming. The next day I woke sore but resolute. Mr. Harris was there, his tone sharp, faster today. I clenched my jaw and dug in. By noon, I'd finished my task. He scanned it, finding fewer errors. "Better," he muttered. That single word lit a spark of pride, brighter than any purchase I'd ever made. At lunch, I sat with the workers, listening to their tales of kids, bills, small victories. I'd never seen them as people before, but now I was one of them, sharing their world. Days became weeks, then months. Work grew less daunting, my hands steadier, my mind sharper. Mr. Harris's critiques dwindled, replaced by rare grunts of approval. "Good job," he'd say, and those words outshone any luxury I'd once craved. I began to see money as more than a plaything. It was the fruit of sweat and focus. I watched my father closely, noting his relentless drive, the sacrifices he made. I'd once seen only his wealth. Now I saw his grit, his resolve. One evening, he called me to his office. "You've changed, Cale," he said, his voice warm with pride. "You were aimless, but now you grasp what matters." I nodded, emotion clogging my throat. Then he slid a small key across his desk. "Your office," he said. "My own office?" I whispered, stunned. "Yes," he replied. "You're ready for more." The key felt heavy in my palm, not just metal but trust, earned through my own labor. The next day, I stepped into my modest office, a desk, a chair, a space I'd claimed through effort. I wasn't just a worker anymore. I was learning to steer, to build. Challenges came. Mistakes, setbacks, long hours, but I didn't flinch. I wanted to create something lasting, like my father had. Looking back, I laugh at my old Kale, blind to life's truths. I thought ease was eternal, money a given. But life is toil, growth, purpose. My father taught me that, and now I stand ready, not because of riches, but because I've learned to forge my own path. But the journey didn't end there. As I settled into my new role, I faced fresh hurdles. Leading wasn't just about tasks, it was about people. I had to learn their names, their strengths, their struggles. One day, a worker named Lila came to me, her face tight with worry. Her daughter was sick and she needed time off. My old self might have dismissed her, but now I saw her as I saw the fruit vendor, the seamstress, someone carrying a quiet burden. I arranged her leave and checked in later, earning a grateful smile that felt richer than any sale I'd closed. These moments reshaped me, teaching me that leadership was about lifting others, not just climbing higher. Months later, my father fell ill. The news hit like a storm. He'd always been a pillar, unyielding. Now, seeing him frail, I felt the weight of his legacy. I stepped up, diving into decisions I'd once left to him. Meetings stretched late, problems piled high, but I leaned on what I'd learned. Focus, grit, care. One night, as I pored over reports, my father called me to his bedside. "You've grown, Cale," he said, his voice weak but proud. "I always knew you could." Tears stung my eyes. I'd spent years taking, but now I was giving back, holding the company steady for him, for us. His recovery was slow, but my resolve never wavered. I'd become the man he'd hoped for, not through wealth, but through work and heart. Years on, I sit in my office, not the small one, but a larger space I've earned. The company thrives, not just because of my father's foundation, but because of what I've built. I mentor young workers, sharing the lessons I learned the hard way. I think of the fruit vendor, the seamstress, my father's weary eyes. They're my compass, reminding me that life is earned, not given. My old self would have scoffed at this Cale, but I'm proud of him. Life isn't easy, but it's rich with meaning when you build it yourself. Thanks for diving into Cale's story with Zera's English story. Did his transformation spark something in you? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more tales that move and inspire. See you next time.